This is a true story that happened at my podcast. On this week's episode of Horror Hole, I'm Wyatt, and who is here with me today, as always?
And I arched my back for Archer Graff. I'm Cody Briscoe.
All right, that's pretty good. We're here to talk about yet another Zach Cregger movie, and it's Weapons, baby. Is this the most recent movie that we have talked about?
Yes.
I think we talked about some. Yeah, we talked about some other
28 years later
movies that came out this year. This one came out in like August. Yeah, that might be more recent because this was in August. 20 years later, that was like whatever,
February
like September or something.
June or something. I don't know.
We talked about it. Yeah, whatever.
Yep.
That's fine. Anyway, yeah, we're here. We're talking about Weapons. It's
what a movie.
We're breaking it out. What a movie. First episode we did was on Barbarian, so it feels nice to come back around and talk about this one, have another movie lined up. I want to ask you have seen this movie for sure before
several times
now.
Yeah.
Yes. How did you feel about it after this most recent watch through?
I still love it. I still think it's my favorite horror movie to come out this year. I think it's just so impressive. I think it is a clue. It is a true. Like, I haven't had a reaction to a movie like this since Nope came out, where it's like, this is funny, but it's scary, and it's adventurous, and it's really big. I think this movie hits it out of the park. Yeah,
I absolutely agree. I can't 100% say that it's my favorite just because I really like 28 Years Later, but like it is very high up there as far as like movies we've watched for this podcast. I think I definitely like it more than Barbarian, which I did really like.
Yeah.
But I just think that it's like, this is able to be like just a more solid movie overall, and it has a similar structure to Barbarian, and yet it does it more ambitiously with like, the multi-POV sort of structure. Actually, you know what? This is a good time to bring this up, but I was looking up the movie after watching it because I really enjoyed it on Twitter just to see other people's opinions, and I saw that it was released in Japan recently because there's a lot of Japanese fans that were talking about it, and one of them mentioned a connection that I did not make while watching the movie and compared it to the original Ju-on, which we did an episode on, by saying that the multi-POV, the idea of like the story that only starts to make sense when it gets to the end and it all culminates in like a scary house is very similar, structurally to that. Obviously there's some big differences, but like I was like, oh shit, that's like a really good call, that I can't believe it. Like I didn't even think of that. So
I had I had a much more embarrassing connection during this most recent rewatch because I was watching it. I swear to God, Wyatt, I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, this is the perfect movie for there to be a South Park parody episode of. You could recast all the characters in this movie with the South Park cast and it would fit perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
for
Butters,
sure.
Butters would be Alex because he has an evil grandma. Randy would be Archer.
Yes. That's the first one that I thought of was that. So the only thing is like, who would be Justine?
Because I mean, there really isn't a female teacher unless you want to be really stupid, modern South Park, and have it be PC Principal's wife.
Right. Yeah.
You know that character.
Yes. Yeah. PC Principal was introduced in the last season of South Park I watched. Like he was a new character at that point, which is like 10 years ago at
God.
this point. And then I did watch a couple episodes of the most recent season just because there was
Hmm.
a lot of people were like, this is fucking crazy. And I did think that they were pretty good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the episodes like during the COVID era or whatever
Hmm.
was going on with all that stuff. And in like the last couple normal seasons after, the one in 2015. So definitely not up to snuff with
Yeah.
South Park, but I've gone from like really enjoying it in as my edgy teen years to being a little bit embarrassed by it and put off by it to now that I'm like 30, it's like whatever.
Yeah. I'm
We
in the
can
same boat.
we can all have a problematic thing as a treat. It's
Hmm.
fine. So that's my opinion there.
Hmm.
But but yeah, you're right. That is
Anyway,
a good.
anyway,
That's a good. It's like that, or because I don't know. I feel like something like Simpsons is too lame that you wouldn't even want to imagine them doing a parody, like a Treehouse of Horror or something of
yeah.
this. It would just like make your skin crawl thinking of that.
Uh-huh.
So
Hmm.
even though like like I don't know, there used to be a time period in my life where I would watch every Treehouse of Horror, that came out from like 2000, 1999 or whatever through
Hmm.
like 2004, 2005 when I stopped watching The Simpsons, and was just like, oh man, what movies are they gonna parody this time? And then now it's just like, oh Jesus,
Oh, God, another
please
one.
stop,
Please
just
end it.
put the yeah. Yeah, it's just so sad now watching The
Hmm.
Simpsons. But yeah, so I absolutely love this movie. It's a fucking banger. Zach Kreger. Every time, Barbarian, I was already convinced because I joked in that episode that the structure of the movie, this lady like going into the basement and finding like more keys or items to progress further into like the basement
This is Resident
is
Evil.
like Resident Evil.
Hmm.
So I was like, I guess he could make a really good Resident Evil movie in like that kind of like weird meta way.
And
So, but with this,
this
I'm
is
like, yeah, I
he
think,
could make a really good Stephen King movie.
yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah, this is a very Stephen King story. You're right about that, especially with the multi POV. Like the section of the movie about it, the crackhead. I was like, this is a Stephen King move right here to just like focus on a character that nobody on Earth could possibly imagine would have relevance to
Hmm.
this plot, but then it all like
We'll get to him.
comes back around.
Cannot wait to talk about him.
Yeah. Yeah, but all right, do you want to just I think that this is a movie where we can kind of just like go through it and
Yeah,
talk
because
about our feelings as we go through it.
well, the movie
Mm.
very courteously, or if that's I don't know if that's the right word, but whatever. They break it up into chapters, which makes it very easy for us because the movie already comes in chunks that we can
Yeah.
just talk about. Which gotta
Exactly.
say, that
One
structure is one of the best parts of this movie because it is always like gives you just enough to keep you engaged and want to know what's happening next, but it also doesn't like
Mhm.
show its hand. There's still like a like you can
Yeah.
show the what they did very smart with this movie, even as you're watching it and up until and including how it was marketed, was they really did not clue you in to what the
Mhm.
movie was actually about. The the trailer for this
Yeah.
movie is just a very shortened, streamlined version of just the opening scene, of just the little narration.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and I went into it without any spoilers, which is crazy because like I said, when I was looking up the movie, I know like so many people were posting about a certain character that I'm sure that and talking about how like much of an icon she is, and I was like, I'm surprised I never saw, and if I
really,
did, I never made the connection that it was about weapons. So like I just didn't know that this character was an element in the movie. I
that's
will
so good.
say though, a thing in Justine's like early on in Justine's story, kind of clues you in or kind of clued me in to be like, okay, that's an important element going forward, and that's like her getting witch painted on the side of her car. I was like, that's a very specific word. That's not bitch, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, Like it's weird that it's not a curse word or something like that, or like fuck you, whatever. That it's like witch, so it's like automatically like it made my brain be like, oh shit, what if like magic is involved in some degree? I didn't know to what angle it was going to be, but it just made me put my mind into that zone.
Yeah, and I Justine as a character, I really like. I think she's a really fascinating protagonist. All of the people in this
Mm-hmm.
movie are all very flawed people, but they're all given a lot of pathos and like empathy towards them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Justine
Yeah.
wrecks a marriage and convinces. I mean, or I guess we're just going to be going all over and spoiling it, but we'll do it in like chronological order. But
Sure,
like,
that's fine.
she fucks up a marriage and gets Paul to break his sobriety. Like that's not. She's a very flawed
Yeah.
person, but she's still like you still
Mm-hmm.
root for her. And all the people
Yeah.
in this like
The
go
Oh, I was just gonna say that for me as as the het in this group, as soon as I saw this depressing elementary school teacher go into a liquor store after hours and buy 2 bottles of vodka, I was like, she's hot as hell. That was just like that was a very good, character establishing scene there. And there's a lot of tension in that first part of her
yeah.
story. Like it felt very similar to Barbarian, where it's just like you're like really terrified for the well-being of this lady after this like harrowing situation she's been put into.
And I love the way that the her going into the gas station really fills you in on her character because the vodka bottles are way the fuck in the back of the store and she walks a very specific path.
Mm-hmm.
She makes a beeline to the
Right.
liquor bottles. Like that's her routine. She grabs one bottle and then
Mm-hmm.
there's a little bit of a pause and then she grabs the second one. Just like, no, this is going to be one of those nights.
Yep.
And I love
Yeah.
when they call back to that shot where we see it in like a 180 to where we're seeing from behind Justine as she walks that path, and there's somebody else walking up behind her, and it's a really good moment of tension.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's real good. And I don't know. She's what's the actress Julia Garner?
Hmm.
Um, apparently a bunch of these people are fucking like. There's a bunch of Marvel people here because like Josh
Yeah,
Brolin is also in here, and she was in fucking
she
what is
Fantastic
it?
Four.
Fantastic Four, I
Yeah,
guess. Who the fuck was she
she's
in
the Silver
Fantastic
Surfer.
Four? Okay, okay. I did not watch this movie, so I didn't know that the Silver Surfer was in the movie.
This movie's cast in general,
But
it's actually really interesting. The whole history behind this movie is
yeah.
interesting. But like, so
Mm-hmm.
there was an intense bidding war for this script. Every production company wanted to make this
Yeah.
fucking movie. Uh, Jordan Peele's
Yeah.
team tried to get him this script and they couldn't. And Jordan Peele was so mad, allegedly, that he fired his entire management team. Uh,
Yeah, that's good.
there was production delays. So this movie originally was set to shoot with an entirely different cast, and then the strikes happened, I believe, and there was
Wow.
delays, so they had to refilm. So I can't remember all of them, but I know Archer was originally going to be Pedro Pascal instead of Josh Brolin, which
Okay.
I do really like Pedro Pascal as an actor, but I can't picture anybody else playing Archer. Uh,
Yeah, he's such a dad guy. Like
mhm.
he's the perfect sad dad in this movie.
And as soon as he showed up,
You
you know
know.
how I reacted.
Right.
uh, the only actor from the
but
original cast that stuck around is the actor who played James, because I think he worked with Zach
okay.
before.
Hmm.
Which
Cool.
we'll get
Yeah,
to James when we get to
that's the crackhead, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah,
Simu
so
Liu, who is he's in one of the Marvels too.
yeah, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
I will say that there was a quick cameo from Justin Long, that I was like, oh, is he just like he's like one of those returning character
ensemble
actors
actors.
across Zach Cregger movies now. So that's cool. But
I
I
do
was just gonna say,
love
like,
the
okay, so the
comedy.
the yeah, the general plot, the setup of like what's going on, like, is that for some reason at 2:17 a.m. a bunch of kids from one specific classroom in an elementary school just disappeared. They ran out of their house, like, all just off into the distance, and only one kid remained, and then the teacher ends up getting blamed for it, and the kid ends up getting like constantly barraged with questions, so he's become a lot more quiet and reclusive. So that's like the general setup, and why like Justine, who is the teacher, is in sort of this very awkward position, and already had like alcoholic problems in her life before,
Yeah.
and issues of like crossing boundaries and things like that we learn. But she does seem like she's like a pretty good and empathetic teacher. Uh,
Hmm. Yeah.
she seems like she actually does genuinely care about the kids, and like wants, is like actually worried about Alex more so than like, she's not really blaming him for the problem, but she immediately is able to suss out that there's something really fucked up and spooky about the house that he
Hmm.
lives in. So that's like, yeah, it's definitely gets into like, what the fuck are you doing territory, like, with her.
Oh yeah,
But
like
it's also, again, like, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, like the scene. I think it's towards the very end of her chapter, which I'll talk about the theater going
Mm-hmm.
experience later. But this scene for sure got the biggest reaction out of the crowd. Is the scene where
Mm-hmm.
she's asleep in her car outside of Alex's house, and it's like a really good like long slow zoom to the door across the street, and it opens up, and you never see like who opens that door through the whole movie. It's really creepy. It just like opens up on by itself,
Yeah.
and then you see a
Mm-hmm.
figure walk out. It's Alex's mom, but we don't know yet at that point. Uh, Walking
Mm-hmm.
out, holding the scissors, and like she walks across the street really slowly and cuts her hair. The whole theater was like screaming because I saw it in a really really packed theater.
Yeah.
Uh, and then
Yeah,
the
that was one of those like, super tense,
mhm.
fucking moments
Well, because
while watching, and I was just, mm.
she gets up to the driver's side window, the door's locked, and then she walks away, and you think, oh, it's over, and then you hear in the background the passenger door open. That's the that's the perfect,
Yeah.
like it's so scary.
Yeah. Um, but okay,
She
no,
is
go ahead.
she's throughout the all these a few of the chapters. This is the first instance of it. Is Justine has a nightmare where, well, first she has a dream with all the kids, and then Alex lifts his head up like they're playing heads up 7 up, and then that wakes her. And she
Mm-hmm.
leans back down, and she gets a quick glimpse of this like old lady figure up on her ceiling looking down at her,
Mm-hmm.
which these things
Yeah.
never go explained why the characters are seeing this. And there's a lot of stuff like that in this
Mm-hmm.
movie that doesn't go explained, and I really like that.
Yeah.
The aspect of it, because did you do any research into like Zach Kreger's like writing process, or like what kind of inspired this movie?
I did not. There's one element that I did read about, though, that I thought was very interesting, kind of regarding that, and that's, when he asked Amy Madigan to play the role of Aunt Gladys, he told her like what kind of character it was, and then gave her two different backstories as to
Hmm.
like the nature of that character,
Yeah,
and then said, you get to pick whichever one and play her that way, but you don't tell me which one you
so
chose.
good.
And I just think that that's like an interesting, we'll talk about that later when
Yeah,
we like get deeper into the movie. But
yeah. So he well, this script was written as a way for him to process death of like his best friend who died a couple years back.
mm-hmm.
It was like a he was also
Yeah,
the whitest kid you know. And he wrote when he
yeah,
was writing
yeah.
the script. he did like this stream of consciousness meditation technique. I think he mentioned David Lynch or something. So the movie was like completely
Mm-hmm.
unplanned. He just kind of let it flow out of him through this meditation technique. So that's why there's like the big floating AK-47 above the house, which is never explained, or why these people are
Mm-hmm.
having these dreams. Which again, I think the things that are unexplained are interesting because this whole movie is essentially uh, being retold to us by the child narrator. So there are just details that we will never know.
Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, the I don't know sometimes the best art can come from like that processing. I know I've gone through, and so has you, like a
Yeah.
friend passing away. So there was like sometimes it can put you in a really interesting headspace of you know creative writing and that kind of stuff. I know I like wrote like an entire book worth of stuff after that. So
Mm-hmm.
um and like yeah, the that definitely gives it big Stephen King vibes, like you just talked about, because he likes to do that. He kind of sets out with like he doesn't really have like a defined ending in mind
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of his books, and just kind of starts with a premise and then goes from there and like builds out from that
Yeah.
and like nurtures it and everything, which is like I actually kind of prefer that for the most part with writing, because
Mm-hmm.
it just leads to like a more dynamic story, even if it can
More
kind of lead
unpredictable.
to a yeah, yeah. It can, maybe the ending is not as satisfying or well laid as anything else, but I don't know. With something like it, I've found the ending like extremely satisfying.
Yeah.
By the end of it, like it was very like powerful and emotional and like cool and all this stuff, and then like the so even if it's like this big, ridiculously overlong book, I feel like it still kind of sticks the landing. It justifies its own existence
Mm-hmm.
in a way. Same thing with The Stand. I also
I,
feel
I,
that with that.
I actually
So
just rewatched that like a couple weeks ago.
cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's it's kind of how Justine's chapter ends is her seeing Gladys. Or no, no, it ends with her having
mm-hmm,
her haircut. Then we jump over to Archer, and this is kind of
mm-hmm,
where a little bit more of the plot is outlined to us because he's the one who he uses his construction worker superpowers to figure out how like the trajectory that the
mm-hmm.
kids were running, and he was able to like map out like a general area where they might have gone. Um,
Yeah. He
they
also uses his supervisor. He misuses that ability to, embezzle some red paint so that he can vandalize Justine's car.
Mhm.
So or presumably, he has the red paint. We see her car painted. The witch painted on it in red. It's possible somebody else did that just
No,
using
that
that
was
paint,
totally.
but
I think
yeah,
it was more
it's
of just
just
a
never
spur of the
shown.
moment thing. Yeah, at
Yeah.
least that's how I was. I think he just did it out of like impulse because he's following her around. He also
Yeah,
has
because
her.
he's the guy who's he's the guy who's pissed off at her at like the meeting at the beginning of
Yeah.
the movie.
Hmm.
So that's just like yeah, and when you first see that, you're annoyed at him because it's like, well, fuck you. She didn't like. She's in this weird situation too, and you're not having no, patience for it. But starting his chapter, like, it's very striking to be inside like a child's bedroom and then see like this like 45-year-old guy underneath like the
45.
Batman blanket. Yeah, yeah, whatever. The adult man underneath it, and
He's
then
probably in his
uh,
70s at this point. He might be 72 for all I know.
yeah,
But
that's probably true. He
yeah.
just looks. I don't know. He looks like a dad guy, which is good.
Mhm.
And but that was like a very that was emotionally stirring. Obviously,
Yeah.
like it just you immediately get into the and understand this guy's perspective of like, oh yeah, it is like horrific what they must be going through. Any kind of missing child case in general
Mhm.
is like very harrowing, but like this specifically where it's happened to so many people and also nobody can possibly understand what's going on or how.
Yeah, and
That's like
the regret that we see, like when he's talking to Matthew, where he's the like apparently he was not able to tell his son that he loved him. He just couldn't say that out loud, and that's just
mm-hmm.
eating away at him because
uh,
now he's gone.
classic dad behavior with like unable to show affection in that way. So
I do really like that detail where when we see Matthew later on in the movie, his son, and he's the kid that is bullying Alex, and he's like having like a tantrum in class. So it's like, yeah, that's why he acts like that, is because he doesn't have a father who can be open with him. He doesn't handle his own emotions.
mm. Yeah, I think that's such a cool, like that whole thing I felt like was a really good misdirect. Um because you keep on trying to like think like, okay, where's this movie going? Where's it going? Like, and the movie is kind of trying to lead you down the path of thinking that it's Alex's fault, that which I mean it kind of is, but
Mm-hmm.
uh that he did it out of malicious intent, or out of like revenge or whatever for being bullied or like being neglected in the classroom. Um, Something like that. But, obviously when you get to his story, you learn the extent of like how fucked up his
The,
life situation
the
is,
Roald
you
Dahl-esque
know?
nightmare that his home life is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the, you know, go ahead.
Oh no, I don't want to say anything about
Well, just continuing about the Archer storyline,
it. Mm-hmm.
I do think like I don't know, I love him again misappropriating items and things from his job as like a construction worker and getting like the town map and being able to like find the exact direction that a few of the children ran so he can
Mm-hmm.
like create like triangulate the coordinates basically of all right, if they're running in just one direction, what's the place that they cross
What's the
section
convergence point?
into?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then like yeah, it's just cool to like just building up those pieces, these first two chapters, like the first chapter being definitely like very tense, very like horror with this character, and then this one is more, it's more like mystery, like
And
he's trying to solve this mystery. He has like
mm-hmm.
the ominous prophetic dream, like David Lynch style, like you said, and
and
it ends in a like horror set piece, but like
yeah,
for the most part, it's like not a very like horrific section of the movie. It's just you know kind of sad, and
mm-hmm.
it's just a guy kind of trying to solve a mystery.
And like the I think the thing that fully gets you on board with Archer is during that gas station attack, because he's like confronting Justine. He's like being
Mm,
really like in her face and being kind of confrontational. And then Marcus runs up from behind her all bug eyed, which the bulging eyes are
yeah,
really creepy throughout the whole movie. Um,
yeah,
but he attacks her, and like like without hesitation, Archer's like just jumps in and like tries to get him off of her,
hmm,
and like comes to her defense. And I that like in that instinct to do that, I think is like, okay, I can get behind this guy.
yeah. He's a person who has integrity. He has like he's not angry at Justine for no reason. He has like legitimate grievances with her. And in general, like, even though I do feel like like her friend Paul was in during her section of the movie, he was being I know he was going through his own shit that we find out, later in the movie. He was being very unsympathetic to the fact that she's like got this fucking scarlet letter on her,
Yeah,
and the town is like bullying her and being like, no, not everybody's thinking about you. And it's like, I don't know, dude. I think at least all of the parents like that, and all of their friends probably are like, "Fuck this lady,"
Hmm.
etc. You know, because they just had to direct their anger and grief somewhere. So I kind of get where she's coming from. I would also like, buy 2 bottles of vodka,
Hmm.
and then like, yeah, I understand like, uh, Archer going up to him or up to her and confronting her and everything and yelling at her for being trying to make things like woe is her and etc. And then yeah, it's just like a great moment of uh, where he steps in and helps her. And then later in the movie, we see them afterwards in the hospital and they have like a very mature sort of like just thanking each other for helping each other out and kind of coming to that understanding. He's like on the level,
Yeah,
he's not just
I do really like their
completely
little
ego
alliance they
driven.
form. I think it's very cute.
Mm. Yeah,
Uh,
it's good stuff.
yeah. So after that chapter ends, we jump over to Paul, who I guess we did kind of skip over his introduction. It's the guy who
Mm.
played young Han Solo in the Han Solo prequel, Alden Ehrenreich.
Oh God.
Uh, I really like him in this movie. I like Paul as a character a lot. I think he's really
Mm.
interesting. Again, because like everybody in this movie
Mm.
really is like a very flawed human being, and I think Paul kind of exemplifies that because this guy is like
Yeah.
he's a piece of work. He does a lot of really shitty things, but I don't know. I guess we'll just I don't want to just come out outright and say it, but the things that happen to this character, I don't think he deserved, and I feel bad for what happens to Paul.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. I feel like he, obviously he goes, a little bit too far in some cases,
Yeah,
when dealing with James, but also this like James, he is also like a duplicitous character who is
look,
like
if I
lying and fucking him over and whatever. Like,
if somebody told me I don't have a needle in my pocket and I reach in their pocket and poke with a fucking dirty needle, I'm sorry. I would probably
mhm.
punch them in the face too.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the thing. That's what I was gonna say is that like it's a shocking thing to the point where I then had to be like, oh yeah, police brutality. Like I had to
yeah. Hmm.
remember. I was like, oh, that's super not okay. But also because I was like, yeah, fuck this guy for
Yeah, like
him getting stuck with
the
a
first
needle
thing
and
he does is
everything.
looks at his dash camera and like unplugs it. Uh,
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, but he's not like a corrupt cop in the sense of being like a complete scumbag, like abusing his power. He's just like a fuck up,
yeah,
just like a normal guy, kind of fuck up dude, and then is like doing things that are kind of amoral and against like, a code of honor and things like that. But he's not necessary. Like, I guess that is abusing your power, but he isn't like crazy with power or anything like that. And he ends
yeah,
up getting into like some conflict with like yeah that crackhead James, but he also ends up he reconnects with Justine, and they have like a wonderfully awkward scene together at the bar and everything, and
Mhm.
it's only implied in Justine's chapter that they slept together, and then we see a very quick sex scene with
Mhm.
them in his chapter, which like 100% confirms that his wife was justified in coming into the like gas
Yeah,
station
because
liquor store and
we hear
fucking like assaulting.
we hear
Mm-hmm.
he's talking to her on the phone at the start of this chapter, and she even says like, "Oh, I'm gonna be home in a couple days earlier than I thought, and it looks like I'm gonna be ovulating." So it's like they're trying to like have kids and shit, and he's out fucking around with Justine. Like, yeah, of
Yeah.
course she would be that fucking upset.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. That's like
yeah, so
what.
he chases James off. He lets James go because he's like, "You did me wrong, I did you wrong, so I'll let you go this time, but I don't want you to come around." That's when he goes to Justine. And then, it's like during the chapter, she's like, "What happened to your finger?" He's like, "Oh, it was a little work thing." And then, we see like
Mm-hmm.
what that was. And
Mm.
then he goes back to work, and then he sees James and chases him off. And then we jump over to James, which I remember this
Mm-hmm.
actor's fucking name. That this actor is absolutely the best performance in this movie. Like,
Right. His name
um,
is Austin Abrams.
okay, he
He's
he
the same
is
age as us, which is
wow,
yeah, 1996. So yeah,
he
1 year
is
younger than me.
he is so good and so real as this character. It's like you forget you're watching an actor. Like he is the
Yeah.
most realistic tweaker. Like I have met James. Where I'm living,
Yes.
there is a James on every fucking street corner.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I live downtown, so whenever I go take a walk, I will see this exact guy multiple
Mm-hmm.
times as I'm like walking around, corners and things like that. So,
He's the real life
and
version of like the fucking get
that
out of my head guy from Smiling Friends.
right. Yeah. But yeah, he's just like, you definitely feel some sympathy for him, like
Yeah,
going
he's
through this
powerless to his
situation
addiction.
with, yeah, and but it is very funny. Just him going around, he's like lying to like his mom or brother or something, like somebody out
Hmm.
over the phone about
Yeah.
getting a job, and he's just like trying to open all these car
Hmm.
doors. He
Stealing
like
a
steals a little girl's backpack
hmm.
and then like finds like an iPad and like cat earphones and tries to take it to the pawn shop. The pawn shop owner is like, "This is clearly stolen, so I'm not
Hmm.
going to give this." It's very funny that he draws the line at that. Like, no, I'm not going to buy this iPad off of you. But later, when he steals all the,
So the silverware.
silverware from Alex's house, he's like, yeah, fine. Here's a couple $100. So,
Yeah, he breaks into Alex's house. Uh, then he finds we didn't mention this, but when Justine was looking in Alex's windows, which are covered in newspaper, he sees two people, or she sees two people sitting
mm,
on a couch, not moving. James goes in
mm,
and we get a better look at them. And then he goes downstairs and he finds
mm,
the fucking missing kids. And the whole theater
yeah.
was gagged. Everybody was like whole crowd gasping. It was so good. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great moment because it is very like, oh shit, but then afterwards, the way that he treats it, and
mhm.
like, he doesn't really care about it until he sees the reward for $50,000, and then he's just so casual about it. Like, yeah, I saw him. I don't know. They were just standing down there in this house. Anyway, so how am I going to collect my $50,000? Like, just like always on message, always like just thinking about that one thing, like getting his money, that kind of thing.
That
Gotta respect it.
that tip that he calls on is so funny. Like that, I think is like that 1,000% sounds just like some random fucking meth addict rambling. Like that totally
Yeah.
sounds like that. Uh,
Yeah,
let's
that's
see.
why it's like completely understandable that the police station would be like, this is just a crazy meth head. That's
Yeah.
just not, you know, telling the truth. He's doing whatever. So,
Mhm. Uh, yeah, so he gets chased out of the house. I love the shot of him, like he's like on his knees in the foreground, and you see Alex's parents on the couch in the background. They're all still, and then they get up in the
mm,
background, and it with there's no musical sting. It's like when Michael Myers sits up at the end of the first Halloween.
mm,
Uh,
yeah.
so then that's when he is walking to the police station. That's where the story like meets up with Paul's segment because that's when God, sorry, I think just fell out of my chair.
Yeah.
Um, that's when his
That's fine.
segment meets up with Paul's, and that's why he got chased away from the police station. And then he sees old lady Pennywise in the forest, which
Right. Yeah.
why he's seeing Gladys again. No explanation. I like that. I think it's scary. Um, and then one of
Mm-hmm.
the I thought the getting the finger poked with the needle was really rough by it, but the fucking the
Yeah.
scene where he stabs Paul in the face with three syringes is so disgusting.
Yeah.
And
That
I
is
got
really fucked up. Yeah, that is so fucked up. If I can offer, like, thinking about it, the in my head I think it's like, oh, Gladys detected that he was in the house at some point and stole a bunch of shit from them. So even if she doesn't really care about that, it's just the fact that he is onto her. So it's just sort of like tracking him down in order, like whether she was like physically outside trying to find him, or if that was just some kind of like, mental projection or something like that. Yeah, yeah. That it's just like, oh, whoever people that come in contact with that house are like, it's kind of similar to Ju-on. Like maybe they
Mhm.
are kind of like they're not enchanted or whatever, but they have some connection to it now, so they can be influenced by that in dreams or in visions or whatever. Kind of getting ahead of ourselves as far as talking about the plot, but that's fine. Um,
I gotta say,
but yeah,
much like how I said,
yeah, go ahead.
I probably would have punched James in the face too if I got my finger poked by a needle. My first reaction, much like
Mm,
Paul's, would be like, "Hey, do you have AIDS?" Like, yeah, I absolutely
yeah.
would like, yeah, 100%. And I love
Yeah, I'm not sure if I
his
would point a gun at his head, but I
well,
would,
yeah,
I would definitely like be very mad about that. So,
and I do love his like hesitant reaction, like, "No shit, I don't think." Like that's not what you want to hear to that question.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so they end up at the house too. This is another real oh shit moment where Paul goes into the house and then it hard cuts and it's nighttime suddenly. So it's like, oh fuck, he's been in there for a long
hmm
time. Uh, and he comes
Yeah.
out downstairs the house. That's the end of his chapter. Just like the Marcus. Uh,
hmm
my statement about all the main characters being flawed, I think I wouldn't count Marcus among that. He seems to just be very good natured, trying to do the best in the
Yeah.
situation he's put into.
hmm Yeah. I think he's maybe a little like he can give a little bit of leeway to Justine, but he's also like it just is there's rules and boundaries and everything in place for a reason, so I understand why he's kind of a hard ass on her
Mhm.
about that, and is otherwise like pretty understanding about that. Like, yeah, he's just like immediately I was very interested in this chapter because I was like, what the fuck was up with him, a couple of chapters ago where
Mhm.
he ran like a crazy
Where he was
person
on
and
bath
tried to,
salts.
kill Justine.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then so I was like, okay, what's gonna happen? And that's like it's such a great hook for like the penultimate story, like that leads into like the final
Mhm.
storyline because you know, yeah, it starts on such a normal foot and then gets to the point where you start to have a better picture of like the true scope of this movie by the end of his
Yeah.
chapter.
And
I really like that.
it's also the introduction of our main villain because we finally get officially introduced to
Mm,
Gladys. Uh,
mm,
Outstanding performance, like instantly, just like yeah, that's an iconic villain. Everybody loves a good witch
yeah.
performance, and this is a really good one.
Mm. Yeah, she is just a perfect like her outside persona is such a perfect annoying old lady aunt kind
Mm-hmm.
of like eccentric character, like she fills that role, but there's couple aspects about her that make me kind of lean in one direction more so than the other about the proposed backstories that Zach
Yeah,
Kreger talked about. And I might as well like explain it now,
we
even
both
though it'll be more relevant in the next.
in the
Yeah, go
next
ahead.
thing, but I'm pretty sure me and you both are leaning towards the same of those two backstories.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
one of them is that she's just a normal. She's a person who has the ability to use magic and has been artificially extending her life due to the fact that she has this illness and is, So the things that she's doing in the movie are to that end. And the other one is that she's not a human and she's just wearing like basically the appearance of a human in order to basically act as like a parasite, which is a pretty, they hammer in that metaphor a couple times throughout the movie. Yeah. And I think her like crappy makeup and the wig and like the weird way that she acts in general leads me to believe that, that she is more so like not human, because if she was somebody that was out of time, that would, maybe there would be some weird anachronistic elements to it, but like shittily putting on makeup and putting on a bad wig, that's not like, oh, somebody from the 1800s would do that. That's more like somebody who's trying to kind of failing to integrate into human culture, or is like an alien basically. That to me, like, it leads more credence into that. So I think that they do a good job knowing that factoid. It could go either way, but for me, like, I would say I lean more towards like she's not human. She's something else, which is like very creepy. Like what is she? How long has she been doing this? Those kind of questions prop up under that.
And because we see the way she performs her magic, it seems like it's very, very, very old magic. Like it's. There's like this like weird fucking tree that's involved that she has to carry with her to like cut branches off of, that is like her conduit, and she needs like an object of her targets or whatever, and she needs to infuse it with her own blood. It's really cool and unique. And you're able to instantly pick up and like get it and understand what is happening.
Yeah, that's super cool. Like that scene, I knew something was up when she comes to Marcus's house and everything, and asks for the bowl of water, and I do love that she's like, it's just a weird thing about me. I don't even try to rationalize it anymore. Like, honestly, that's a good excuse. That's a good excuse for just like whatever. I don't need to explain myself to you. Just get me what I want right now, as diplomatically as possible.
I'm old. I don't have time to explain it to you.
Like, yeah. And like you said, I love the fact that the ritual that she performs to do the spell, like you said, it's old in the sense of like you could imagine people like hunter-gatherers or something, like it's like thousands of years old because of how it just involves like this tree and the hair and blood and things like that. Rather than, so it seems like it's kind of similar to stories of like werewolves or vampires or whatever, where they sort of have existed longer than human civilization has existed. And we have just like conveniently forgot about those things living beside us as time goes on. That's just like a really cool, and I love that mystery, and I love that it's never overly explained. And the process of doing it is simple enough to understand that even Alex at the end of the movie is able to mimic it. So he's able to like put together the rules. It ending up working, but again, that's kind of getting ahead of things.
There's still like, because this scene in the kitchen is really, it's upsetting. It is really gross and sad and horrific. Marcus murdering his husband, because they seem to they are very cute together, like matching Mickey and Minnie t-shirts. There's a moment, which this is also a tribute to his friend Trevor Moore. There's a moment where the husband walks out with a tray of 7 hot dogs, which is a white skin tuna. And, Marcus is sitting on the recliner, and he does like a chomping motion with his hand, like give me a hot dog. It's very cute.
Yeah, it's. I mean, absolutely would love to sit on the couch with 7 hot dogs and bowls of chips and things like that. Like, yeah, just good stuff. And yeah, like you said, this scene of him murdering his husband is, I just always get fucked up by any scene that involves like somebody's head getting crushed.
Hmm.
For some, I guess like that's just a normal human reaction, but like
Yeah.
the destruction of like the face of somebody is always like just so
Hmm.
disturbing because it turns them
Midsummer.
from it turns them from like a body into like flesh. You
Yeah.
know, they become they go from a human to meat, and
Hmm.
that's just like you don't want to feel that way about your fellow human being.
Yeah.
Like it puts you in an uncomfortable position.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's like it's really fucked up, and like the using Justine's hair in order to send uh Marcus after her, like that's like, oh, that's the cool, that's why her hair was cut only, like that's
Hmm.
why that was what happened at the end of her chapter. And also, like, I don't know like what your interpretation of it is with the like the eyes bulging and everything, but I imagine that it's like something like entering their body and sort of pushing them beyond their limits of what their
Hmm.
body can do, because not to be mean to Benedict Wong here, but he is a fat guy like myself. I absolutely could not run that long and that fast without keeling over.
Hmm.
So like
I've
by the time that he like gets to Justine to try to kill her, like he's completely like he's covered in like the bile from when he was vomiting onto his
yeah.
husband, and then also just like the strain and everything like just makes him look fucking insane. It's like
Hmm.
very very good creepy imagery. So
What I've seen, and I guess I could kind of I guess I agree with this, is why their eyes are like that is that
mm,
magic is controlling every single muscle in their body. It's thinking to
yeah.
have them blink. Like, what
Mm.
purpose would that serve the, the function of the spell? You know?
Yes, yeah, because there's some, I think like we see Alex's parents, they have like bloodshot eyes at points. So like yeah, their eyes are just like glued open, and yeah, we'll talk about that I guess we can just go right into Alex's chapter, but it beginning with like getting to see the parents as kind of just like normal people. The dad
They're
is very
so
good.
cute. They're so cute.
Yeah, the dad is such a good dad mood because he's like trying to make the best out of a shitty situation of like, well, we gotta take care of your weird aunt. I don't want to do it, but we gotta do it because she's family.
Mhm.
Him just be trying to put on a brave face for his son and keep a positive outlook on things, despite the fact that I'd be like, man, this is a nightmare scenario for me having to, you know, take care of some random family member that I've never heard of.
He says,
And
quote, "We haven't seen this woman in 15 years. So they've both met her at least once before. There
mm-hmm,
are inconsistencies where it's like I think she says something like Alex's mom is my little sister, but then
mm-hmm,
Alex's mom also refers to her as her aunt, so like how exactly they're
yeah,
related doesn't make sense on purpose. And like
yes,
they probably aren't even related for all we know.
that's my assumption is that
Mhm.
she had wormed her way into their family through some other means,
Yeah.
through like magic and manipulation and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then it's sort of like there's like that one bird that like breaks goes into the nest of a different bird and like breaks all their eggs and lays
Oh yeah.
their egg into the nest, and then the mama bird of the original nest is like, well, I guess this is my baby now, and then they just take care of that, where it's like normally when you think of a parasitic relationship you think of like a bug or a worm or something, yeah, something infecting you or fungus, stuff like that. But that's a example of just a different bird. It's still a bird, and it's not the only thing that it did was like kill the other babies, but then it just it continues to and then the mom is just like, okay, yeah. So something like that, I assume, is that she maybe there was an aunt that
And
was in that
there was a
position
real Aunt
familiar.
Gladys that she like
Mm,
replaced.
yeah.
Uh, really, really good detail I noticed in this is, again, going back to like Archer and Matthew, how Archer isn't able to say "I love you" to his son, and then we see his son is a little prick. Uh,
Mm.
when we see Alex's dad dropping him off at school, Alex is the one who says, "Well, I love you" to his dad, and then his dad's like, "I love you too," and it's just like a casual thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it just
Yes.
like this poor family that's gets
Mm-hmm.
destroyed. I guess we'll talk about the metaphor here. It's parasites. I remember that this chapter was very autobiographical because he was the child of two alcoholics, and he described it as
Mm-hmm.
just this thing that came into his house, and then slowly his parents stopped being his parents, and he had to
Yeah.
look after them, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is I mean, it's just a great metaphor. It's I mean it's yeah, I don't know. I was really impressed by it.
Yeah, it's very clear. I don't know, that like that metaphor really comes through in the sense of here's this kid who is forced by circumstances out of his control to grow up way too quickly and become, a caretaker to people that should be taking care of him, and like giving him a life as a child and everything like that. And there's a lot of like really like a lot of the scenes
It's so sad.
um
He's
of him like in the school afterwards is just so depressing because he's just trying to go through the motions of being a kid, but there's no passion in his
yeah.
eyes because of how horrific the situation at home is.
Mhm.
Because Aunt Gladys has put a spell over the parents, um, for whatever reason, as a bargaining chip as well to Alex in order to make sure that he does what she wants. Because, and this is the one scene that did like really send some chills down my spine is her explaining exactly
Oh
her
yeah.
methodology to, like, like they can kill each other, I can make them eat each other. Just like how ruthless and cold-blooded she is with absolutely no warmth in her
Hmm.
eyes whatsoever. It's just so horrific to imagine like
Yeah.
being in that situation. And
Yeah, it
as
makes
a
me want
kid
to
you would
eat.
be like, I will do anything to make sure that this doesn't happen. So he has to go above and beyond. He has to buy them soup so that they can have something to eat. He has to, like clean them, take care of them, everything. And then it gets so much worse when
Yeah.
the entire class is taken with the spell, which explains the premise of the movie of all the kids running out of their houses at that specific time period.
Hmm.
And then that means that he has to take care of his parents and then 17 kids in the basement and feed them all and, everything
and,
else.
and then we even fucking see their Gladys being like, okay, CPS or whoever's gonna be coming, so we gotta get all the newspaper off the windows. We have to move all these fucking kids to some other location.
Right?
It's just so much. Like your heart really does break for this kid.
Mm-hmm.
The actor, again, don't know his name, but did a really great job. Was very
Mm-hmm.
believable. Um, and then we kind of are caught up to the point where now Archer and Dandy are outside the house, as our
Mm-hmm.
Paul and James are now inside the house as her little her genitals are squatting
Mm-hmm.
badly.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so as soon as they go into the house, pretty much all hell breaks loose. James is
Mm-hmm.
attacking Archer. Paul's attacking Gandhi, which I do love the
Mm-hmm.
Archer and James fight because it is the built like a brick shit house. 57-year-old, I think,
Ooh, okay.
57-year-old Josh Brolin against a teeny
Mm-hmm.
tiny little string bean tweaker who
Yeah.
goes down with one punch and just keeps he comes back up at him like nine times.
Yeah.
And
that is really funny.
it's to the point where Archer is more concerned that all the punching is hurting his knuckles. You see him like looking at like how fucked
Yeah,
up his
he's like,
knuckles
oh
are.
fuck.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then he like judo throws him at one point,
Yeah.
like just like knocks him off balance and throws him over like the couch, and everything. Yeah, just like a great like final set piece of like all hell breaking loose,
Hmm.
and you know, uh, Like,
Alex's parents are chasing him because he steps over a salt line,
mm,
and then let's see what's happening. So meanwhile, Gandhi and is able to kill Paul. She makes some Paul jerky with a fruit peeler or whatever that is. She
yeah,
scrapes it along his
fuck.
cheek. I know.
Oh God, that poor guy.
Mhm.
And I know he's dead, but even still, it's just like, fuck. One cheek got fucked up by needles, the other cheek got fucked up by that,
Mhm.
and that just shows like, oh, the magic, it has no concern. It's like the nerves don't matter at
Yeah.
all. Like sense of pain is
Mhm.
non-existent. It's just like
Your
controlling the
your
muscles
body is
and
just a
things like that.
vessel. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, yeah. So Paul and James are able to be subdued. Gandhi shoots them both with Paul's gun, and
Mm.
then Archer goes down to find Matthew, and then he finds Gladys hunched over like a little like the witch she is, with
Mm.
her mouth all open, and she grabs his necklace and sends Archer after her. Meanwhile, uh, Alex's parents have him cornered. There's a good like The Shining reference with the mom's face
Yeah.
coming through the door,
Mm.
and the moment that the crowd goes wild for is Alex finally snapping the little twig with a piece of
Mm-hmm.
Gladys's hair on it, and it sends a stampede of children running after
Yeah.
Gladys.
Which is amazing. The
Yeah,
fact that it happens in broad daylight too, I feel
mhm.
like is such a good
it
thing. Like her, this whole set piece is amazing of her like running as in much of a straight line as possible just to like get as much distance from this horde of kids. But we know that she's
there's
like this
nothing she can do.
emaciated old lady.
Mhm.
So, and these are all like we've seen, you know, the how this possession works and how like ruthless these people are when they're under that control. She knows she's completely fucked,
Mhm.
but is just desperately trying to run away and maintain,
Yeah,
you know, her life that she worked so hard to get.
there's
But yeah,
it
go ahead.
feels like, I mean, this movie is very it's an effective horror movie. I think it is scary, but it feels like the whole movie is set up and this scene is the punchline.
Yeah,
uh Very funny. I love the shot where it's like following the POV of this girl in pink pajamas as she's like jumping through patio doors like it's fucking John Wick.
yeah,
They're running. They're just destroying houses. Uh, uh, let's see what happens. What's his name? Archer is like strangling Justine. The kids finally catch up with her and they rip her apart. They rip her to pieces. They use their teeth. They rip the top of her head
yeah,
off. It's a fucking bloodbath, and they're just
yeah,
screaming. It's so good.
yeah. I feel like that's like to me, you know, that's the only way it could have ended if
Mhm.
you know that was going to be the case. I
So
remember
cathartic.
seeing something like Zach Kreger said that he had a different ending in mind where it would involve like other people gathering their own group of these possessed people and like forcing them to fight each other like in a battle like that, and that was just like way too complicated and wouldn't like just expand the scope of the movie and sort of diminish the ending. I think it was absolutely the right call. Unlike with Little Shop of Horrors, where it was the wrong call to cut out the ridiculously elaborate ending, it's the right call to simplify this one because it like that release of tension of you know just
Yeah,
Justine, she's in danger. Uh, you know, Alex, his parents are about to kill him and everything, and just like having the stick break and the kids rush out of the house and we don't even see what's going on. We don't see the results of you know what's going on with the main characters until Aunt
exactly.
Gladys is tracked down and torn to pieces, as you said.
Hmm.
So, and then after that, we see that you know the people are stopped in place, and we. It's interesting because we see that Archer, who was only possessed for a little bit, like for a minute or two,
Hmm.
is fine after the spell is broken, but the people who have been under the spell for however long, like a month or more, are like in a catatonic state, which makes sense because, you know, I'm sure it was a taxing spell in general, but also they've been only nourished by fucking soup for, you know, however long. Um, and that's just like, like, yeah, it kind of like leaves the movie on this uncertain note of,
like some of the kids are starting to talk again, like,
like, but I feel like that's fine. Like, I kind of like the fact that it ends with this. It just like ends there. Like when the conflict is resolved, the movie's over. It doesn't like linger on it too much. Which is generally how I prefer
telling the story.
Yeah, exactly. So just you see Alex with his parents, and you know we learn that he's like he is living with his actual relatives now, and you know we can presume or hope that Archer, like his son, gains back some of his mind after this event happened. That's also very It, like, by the way.
Yeah, the dead lights.
Yeah. That's like that. And like I love how, you know, despite all of the horror in that book, it does have a very optimistic ending to it. You know, it has like a very like you know, that kind of thing.
A very sentimental ending.
Yes. So yeah, but, just good stuff.
I think that's about weapons. This is I love this movie. It's my number one of the year, and this is the year that had a lot of really stiff competition.
Yeah, yeah, this is an absolutely amazing movie. It was fun to talk about. It was a blast to watch. You know, it was one of those things where like, you know, there are some movies here and there, maybe some movies from like the 50s or whatever that we've watched where I'll look at my phone ever so often when I'm watching the movie. But this, like, I was just locked in the entire time. It just 2 hours just passed so quickly. And like, yeah, I was just very, very invested in it. All right. Do you want to know what movie I picked?
What do you got next?
Not a super interesting pick, but it is one that also goes back to a director that we've already talked about. Hereditary, which is a movie I've not actually seen, so I'm excited to check that movie out.
Chances are you've had that spoiled for you already, though. I'm just gonna guess.
I know one element of it. Okay. Like I know the main thing of it, of the the thing in the movie, but I don't know the story of the movie. You know, like I don't know like what it all culminates into. So. You know, I'm excited to finally get around to seeing that because it's like a decade old at this point. Jesus Christ.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, it's crazy that there are some movies that I can still consider like, oh, that's a new horror movie, like Get Out or Hereditary and stuff like that. And that's like, you know, a decade old now. Now, like, we have to start thinking of horror. We have to start thinking of movies in terms of the 2020s rather than the 2010s.
I mean, fucking. As we're recording today, we're recording Stranger Things that tomorrow. That's years now.
Oh God, yeah. Every time I see the kids, I just think it's very funny. I'm sure the time skips have happened in the show to justify it, but they look like they're 25 years old. You know, like they look like.
The problem is the characters who were older teenagers in the first season now having to play like young adults. And Will's older brother fully just looks like middle-aged Daryl Dixon, Norman Reedus. Like,
yeah, I've seen. He already looked kind of fucked up, and I know, no offense, I know he was like a cokehead, but
leave him alone.
But like just saying, he looked kind of he looked like 2010's Macaulay Culkin, and then now, or I guess he looks like that now, and then. Yeah,
like, I know what you mean.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin though, good for him for getting his life together and having a hot wife. I can't believe from the lady from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Yeah. It's like every time I see them together, I'm like, God damn, how did? I'm sorry, Mac, but how did you get with her? Other than both being child actors, I guess. But anyway, yeah. So Hereditary. That's the next movie. Cody, plug your stuff.
You can find me here on this YouTube channel. It's just my name, Cody James. If you look the name up on IMDb, you can see all the film project that I've acted in. I, as far as I know, have another one coming up that shoots in February. Details about that one yet. You can also find me on Twitter and Blue Sky. My name there is Gay Boomhauer. It's mostly just me talking shit about TV shows I watch or just random stream of consciousness stuff.
Yeah, cool. Go on over Twitter and Blue Sky, Wasp Ranger, WAZP Ranger, also stream of consciousness stuff, but I do post about videos I'm making, podcasts I'm doing. My main thing, Cartoon Buffoons. Check it out on my channel. It's Only Magic. Going through all the Cartoon Network shows. Had Cody on a couple times. You were on for CN Rio recently, which is a very good episode. And then so we're talking about that. It's a good time. Got some real terrible garbage, like the Garfield show and shit like that. But there's good stuff in there. But yeah, if you want to get that a week early, $3 on Patreon. Always accept it. If you just got $1, that's fine. You still get Wow Cool Robot, which is me and my friend Wayne going through every single robot in existence. But yeah, that will do it for Horror Hole. Join us next time as we talk about Hereditary. See you there.